the sickness of needing to be liked. What if this need to be liked all the time, right, has gotten you into twisting yourself into a pretzel just to get a little nod of approval, a little like or a hint of validation from others? What if the reason we're being this way is this is the only way we know how to survive, right? If you're someone who says yes to people when they ask you for something, when your whole body is screaming no, or you feel responsible for everyone else's feelings and you trying to make other people happy, and in the middle of this, whatever you feel, that is pretty much lost in the shuffle and you're exhausted. If you can relate, I'm here to tell you that this is not some personality flaw that you were too nice. This is a trauma response. It's a role that you've learned how to play, and it's time that we let it go, right? We seldom find out that the deep-seated need to be liked is kind of like a sickness. And this sickness has prevented you to really meet your true self. And today in this video, we're going to uncover this deep-seated neediness to be liked and finally understand it and finally learn how to let it go. If you want to learn how to do that, stay till the end of the video. Have you ever said yes to someone or something that you really didn't want to do, but the only reason you said yes is you didn't want to disappoint the person, right? Or are you someone who's pretty much very anxious and scared just by the idea that somebody will fight with you, or you're scared of having a conflict with someone? Or maybe you're someone who feels very guilty of having their own needs. If that's the case, you're not alone, right? A lot of people think people pleasing is just a matter of being more agreeable. It's a personality thing, but it goes much deeper than that, right? Like I said, it's a trauma response. It's a reflex that we learned early on in our childhood, that having our own needs makes us a burden. And if I just become a little bit more helpful, I'm going to be loved, right? This started very early on in our life, when we were very young. So I want you to picture this, right? I want you to go back in time and imagine a home, right? Where love, safety, trust, these things were not consistent and they were conditional, right? Welcome to most homes, right? And at a young age, you learn that you have to act a certain way and be a certain way to be loved. And very early on, maybe learned that, if I keep quiet, I don't have my own needs, and I just become helpful, I'm not going to be a burden. That's the meaning a child gives, because there's no logic when you're younger. It's all feelings. The logic of the fact that parents sometimes can't meet the kids' emotional needs wasn't there when we were young. So we instead made it about us. If I just become better, if I just abandon my own needs and become quieter, I don't want to be a burden on other people, and I just want to be helpful. Hands up if you relate, if you're watching this, right? So most of this is a survival strategy. Need to please other people is all about, avoiding rejection and also avoiding punishment, right? Everybody knows about fight, flight, and freeze, but this is called fawn survival strategy. It's the fourth kind of survival strategy. Fawning really necessarily means that you find survival by blending in with others and giving them what they want. At an early age, that might have been a good idea for you to learn that the cost of entry of you having a relationship is to leave your opinions, your own needs out of the door first, and just give the other person what they want. It's a very, very safe way of being. It might have worked in your childhood, but let's be honest, it's become a prison right now as an adult for most people in their life. Now, to go a little bit deeper and look at it, we can look at a famous work of the psychologist Donald Winnicott. He came up with this amazing idea of the two selves, a true self and a false self. Let me explain, right? A true self is basically the purest form of our authentic version, our core. It's always in the moment, being spontaneous, being exactly how it wants to be right here, right now, and has no inhibitions. It's kind of like a baby, right? You can imagine a baby's hungry, it cries. If it's happy, it laughs, right? It has no qualms whatsoever. It's expressing itself 100% in alignment with what it needs, right? And if, in that situation, if a caregiver or a parent is able to give validation and affection at a young age, the true self really gets validated, that my needs really matter and I can express my voice. And that's how self-esteem is born. But for most people, let's be honest, that's not the case in our home environments for whatever reason. If our parents or caregivers are not able to give us the same validation when we express our needs, or they try to put their own expectations on us to for whatever reason, we learn very early on that our feelings are not safe, that we are not welcome, we can't raise our opinions. So to defend against this, we develop this protective mechanism or defense mechanism of the false self. This false self is very, very good at performing and reading the room, learning how to be polite, somehow do whatever it takes to get approval and survive. And this false self is very terrified when it comes to being abandoned or left alone. Now, let's be honest, we all have a false self to some extent. And that's what probably keeps us being polite in a societal setting, in places you shouldn't really say what you really feel like. But in cases when the environment has been very, very bad and our self-worth is up for debate, in those cases, with children, the false self completely takes over, right? It's running the show. It's doing whatever it can to make you survive. Even deep down, you're exhausted, disconnected, and you feel pretty much like a fraud, right? You could be very successful in life, right, because of this. However, deep down, feel like you're an actor. Because let's be honest, you're pretty much acting your entire life so far. So this trauma response of fawning and this false self is really the engine behind the sickness that we started the video with. The sickness of wanting to be liked all the time, right? The fawning behind is the reason we are becoming chronic people pleasers. And if you relate with this, right, I'm a recovering people pleaser myself, right? I've been in a position where I put my own needs behind other people in order to get approval. But every time I do get that approval, it's still not enough because it's for my false identity. It's the performance that I've been doing, so it always feels hollow. And that way, I've always felt stuck on a hamster wheel, realizing that I'm in rooms, reading the room, figuring out what other people want, even before they know what they want, right? And trying to give it to them. Not because I want to, because I've trained my subconscious brain to feel that's the only way I can be safe, right? And this false self really takes over you. And it's very exhausting and you feel very disconnected because your true self, the core of you, has needs, opinions, and desires, things that you really want. But the false self that's taken over is here to keep you safe and protect you. So it doesn't listen to the core self's needs, shuts it down. And that's why sometimes saying a no can feel very life-threatening because you're scared of being abandoned and left alone, right? Sometimes drawing a boundary can feel bad because if you get rejected, it really feels that it means your survival is at risk. So this constant performing and being people-pleasing in order to overgive and overperform pretty much leaves you exhausted. And that's what happened to me, right? You feel pretty disconnected and you feel very lonely because you realize even when you're surrounded by so many people outside, nobody really knows you because you never show who you really are because the true self is hidden behind this false self, right? And the added worst situation on this bonus is it never feels enough. Every time you get validation, it doesn't feel enough. So you're kind of stuck on that hamster wheel, trying to look for more validation, hoping this time it really makes you feel enough, but it never does. And on top, if you've noticed, if you're in bad relationships before, it attracts a specific kind of narcissistic personalities who love this dynamic. And they can spot these people who are people pleasers from a mile away. So how do we unwire this pattern that we've developed over the years, this trauma response? You can't really do it in one day, right? It's a nervous system thing. You've been trained, I've been trained over the years. What I did over the years, I realized, is I can't think my way out of this, okay? I have to realize that it's a slow process of me reconditioning my own mind, my own feelings, and getting in alignment with my true self versus my false self. Now, the goal is not to destroy the false self. You really have to understand that this self was created by our childhood to navigate this unsafe world. And it's actually a brilliant survival strategy to be agreeable, right? It kept you safe so far. So acknowledge the pain of that child, the situation that child was in. Don't judge yourself, right? There's a few things we can do that I did to get rid of this people-pleasing tendency and really step into speaking my truth. One of them is self-awareness, right? Instead of judging yourself, acknowledge that this pattern might be running inside you. And if you're someone who acknowledges that, okay, you know what, maybe I am a people pleaser, maybe I don't value my own needs and I put other people's things before me just to be liked. Not because I want to be nice, it's just because it feels safe. Because being generous has no issue, but being generous at the expense of yourself is a big issue, right? So it's not going to be destroyed in one day. It's there to protect you. We just want to be very aware day to day when that people pleaser shows up. When somebody asks you to do something that you don't want to do, instead of saying yes straight away, I want you to take a little minute, take a pause, and ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if I reject this request? And maybe don't say no straight away if it's a big jump. Maybe say, hey, you know what? Let me just check my calendar. I will get back to you. So start small and stay aware where this shows up. And slowly you'll realize that you could unlearn this pattern. You can give your brain new feedback about who you really are, with a new version of yourself. The second thing is actually self-compassion. Like I said, you can't think your way out of this in one day. It's a years of conditioning that have got you to the place you are. So it's going to take some time. So we're very nice and generous to other people to get their approval. But seldom people pleasers are very hard on themselves. So this is my invitation to be generous and be compassionate with yourself and realize I can be kind to myself. I'm teaching myself how to learn this new way of being, and it's okay if I take some time. And I forgive myself for everything in the past, every single time that I've abandoned what I really wanted, and I'm angry deep down just because I wanted to be liked. I forgive myself, right? I forgive those people who hurt me. We have to find compassion because that's the place we can really start rebuilding this new identity. And once we find that neutral space and we are aware, let's start listening to our intuition. Let's start rewiring our true self, because our true self doesn't speak loudly. Initially, it'll be little whispers, a little gut feeling, because it has been silent for so long. We got to really learn how to take some time out, get very, very quiet and ask ourselves, hey, what do I want right now? In this stage of my life, what are my needs? What do I need to be happy? How much money do I need to make to feel respected? Ask yourself what you truly want. And a lot of people have never asked themselves. A lot of people want things that other people have told them that they should want, but it's not coming from the true self. And once we start doing this, we start aligning and emboldening our real true self, and we get in alignment with who we really are. And like I said, this journey is not a quick fix. It's really realizing that you're on a journey, and you're going to slowly, with self-compassion and self-love, learn to tune in to this new higher version of yourself, the true core self that's been hidden deep down all this while. Now, if you resonated with the kind of content this is, and I would love to know what your story is, right? What part of this you resonated with? What pattern did you uncover that you had? Actually, because sharing your stories is the best way to really reflect on them. So please put your stories down in the comments. I would love to know what you got out of this video. And if you want to learn more about what we're doing here, we do a free weekly coaching group in our Skool community. Find the link in the description or in the bio. And just like always, thanks for watching Feeling Man. This is the place where you can come through to learn how to really awaken your feel-good confidence, find your authentic core, and unlock your gifts to then share on the world and be the leader that you were born to be. So until next time, keep watching. Make sure you share and subscribe, all the usuals, and I will see you very soon.